Protests erupted during Wisconsin's presidential primary, and voters lined up despite concerns about the COVID-19 outbreak.
Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the UK, is in the ICU. We spoke to a doctor about what this means for a coronavirus patient.
And a service created by USC students is designed to make the college selection process easier, connecting admits with current students.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
It's a pandemic that's constantly changing, and we want to make sure that we understand who has it and who doesn't have it so we can better serve our community.
Every LA County resident with symptoms of COVID-19 can now apply online to get tested, according to Mayor Garcetti. Good evening, I'm Nathan Hyun, reporting from Seattle.
Previously, tests were only available to those in vulnerable groups or those with underlying conditions. I'm Genevieve Glass, reporting from West Hollywood. As of today, the World Health Organization reports that more than 1.3 million people have been infected with COVID-19 worldwide. The disease has killed at least 77,000 people. More than 370,000 of those cases are in the U.S. The number of deaths now tops 12,000 according to the CDC. This number includes the more than 1,800 deaths that were reported on Tuesday alone, a new one-day high in the States. LA County public health officials are reporting nearly 7,000 coronavirus infections and 169 deaths. The director of the LA County Department of Public Health is urging people to stay home.
This week is Holy Week, and Passover begins tomorrow. We've been hearing that there are some faith-based groups that are deciding that it might make sense for them to plan gatherings of people in the area. And I want to remind folks, although it pains me to say this, that we have to find ways to honor our safer at home order and to be safe while we're together emotionally but apart physically. So that I ask for now that you please cancel any planned gatherings.
Mayor Garcetti says any LA County resident who has coronavirus symptoms can now apply online to be tested at the sites you see on the screen. Previously, tests were limited to only vulnerable populations, including those 65 and older. And while the testing process takes less than 10 minutes, waiting times for results may vary. A spokesperson for the LA County Fire Department says they were trying to test as many people as possible.
The department's working really hard to get testing sites throughout Los Angeles County and available to all of the residents that qualify for the testing. I am currently at the Pomona Fairplex. We also have at the South Bay, another one at the South Bay Galleria and Antelope Valley. Well, we're hoping we can understand how this pandemic's spreading and that people that are positive can quarantine themselves. And our whole priority is to stop and prevent the pandemic of this spreading even further out.
USC will be distributing face coverings to essential employees and students on campus. USC Chief Health Officer Sarah Van Orman explained how to wear these masks safely.
The recommendation from the CDC is, and from others, is let's preserve the face masks for people who cannot maintain distance in their work, like healthcare workers, police. For everybody else, we are recommending the face covering. So it's really important that people use them correctly, which the main thing is washing. And then when you remove it, make sure you don't touch your eyes and face when you're removing it, and then wash your hands after you're done.
China ended its lockdown of Wuhan after nearly 11 weeks. The Chinese government instituted a total shutdown of the city in late January as it became the early epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic. The city of 11 million still faces a difficult recovery. Annenberg Media's executive editor, Ruby Yuan, is from Wuhan and says there's still a long way to go before life returns to normal.
My name is Ruby Yuan, and I'm a senior journalism major, and I'm the executive editor of US Annenberg Media. For me, I have over 20 close relatives, including my parents, living in Wuhan. The biggest problem for them right now is asymptomatic carrier. There could be hundreds, thousands. We don't know how many of them are there. And also still today, not only in my city, but actually in many cities in China, people still wear masks in the outside. And also they have a special QR code. That QR code is using like a mass data to calculate their health risk. So it's still a long run from being what considered normal life, but at least that there's no legal boundary stopping them to go out of city at this moment.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has moved to intensive care due to worsening COVID-19 symptoms. Johnson has continued his treatment with oxygen in the ICU. We talked to a doctor at USC to learn more about what this means in the context of coronavirus.
For the Prime Minister, of course, they're going to take every precaution possible, but it's also how closely he's being monitored. Maybe it's one-to-one nursing, or in his case, it may even be two-to-one nursing. It's going to be more frequent lab checks that can be done more conveniently in an ICU than it can be at a ward bed, for instance. So it doesn't always mean the most invasive, but it can be the most intensive monitoring.
Hi everyone, Erin Falstrup here, political anchor coming to you from near campus at Adams in Vermont. So after much debate, voters in Wisconsin went to the polls today despite the coronavirus pandemic.
I've been running a polling place for a dozen years, and this is the first time, and hopefully the only time, I'll experience anything like this. And you know, for everybody working with me, they now have to quarantine for 14 days because, look, we're going to have 5,000 to 10,000 voters through this place today. Somebody has this, right? Like, somebody's going to be sick. We're going to be exposed at some level, and so everybody's going to have to quarantine. I was actually talking with one of the women I'm working with at lunch, and she has a daughter who has a heart condition, so she and her husband rented an Airbnb where she's going to stay for 2 weeks after the election. And not be with her family because it was important for her to be here today.
In cities like Milwaukee, polling station volunteers are wearing masks, gloves, and protective gear while they come in contact with thousands of voters. Some people protested, saying the election should have been postponed, that voters were putting their lives at risk. Democratic Governor Tony Evers moved to postpone the election, but the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against that.
Most of what you're seeing is the states, there's a clear governing consensus, and in Wisconsin, you don't have that. So they're very much, I think, unfortunately, looking at their political interests as well as instead of the public health interests.
More than 1 million absentee ballots have been requested in the state, thousands of which won't be received by the end of today. If those ballots aren't postmarked by today, April 7th, they won't be counted, meaning Wisconsin voters had to either risk their health and vote in person or not vote at all. Back to you guys.
The mobile streaming platform Quibi will be rolling out bite-sized programming over the next few weeks. The long-anticipated launch was not delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic. We spoke to a Quibi content executive and a USC Annenberg student who is starring in a Quibi show.
Frankly, I was surprised by the level of positivity on Twitter because Twitter isn't exactly known for positivity. We are still not trying to compete with Netflix or Hulu or any of the other people that you may think of in the streaming wars. You can't get away from the fact that everybody uses their phone all the time, right? People have a lot of time on their hands right now. They need to stay inside. They need to stay healthy. And I think it's a good opportunity to actually check out a lot of our content. We are giving you something new every single day that doesn't necessarily take up a lot of your time.
It's not just, one type of genre. It's, targeted towards a large, diverse audience. A lot of people I know, hate that there's some episodes on Netflix or whatever that are like 60 minutes long because they get bored. They're short. So, you don't need to have the best attention span to be able to watch these shows, I liked the idea of Quibi because I find myself on YouTube, and after it reaches like 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of done.
I'm Sylvie Sparks reporting from Los Angeles, California. Let's take a look at what's going on in sports. The MLB could return as soon as May, sources told ESPN. But the return wouldn't be quite what we're used to. Here's what at least the beginning of the 2020 season could look like. Sources said the plan would call for all 30 teams to play in stadiums in the Phoenix area with no fans. The Diamondbacks' Chase Field, 10 spring training facilities, and possibly other fields would be used. Players, coaching staff, and other essential personnel would live in hotels in relative isolation and only travel to and from the stadiums. One expert says the sport could see record viewings because audiences are starving for entertainment.
I think that maybe there would be the point made that this would be for the greater good of a public that would really welcome the diversion, the outlet. Baseball's still our national pastime, and by nature the game is a little more separated than other sports because you don't have the direct contact as nearly as often.
While we're excited about the possibility of watching live baseball again, not everyone is on board. Players would have to be away from their families for perhaps 4.5 months. Casey Sogard, the wife of Brewers second baseman Eric Sogard, isn't happy about her kids being apart from their father. Officials at the CDC and NIH are supportive of a plan that follows strict isolation, but no official plan has been decided on yet. Now let's go down the street to Trevor Denton to find out what's going on with the Rams and the Chargers.
Thank you, Sylvie. I'm Trevor Denton reporting from my artsy friend's room in Los Angeles. My room was not ready for TV, but apparently 2 NFL teams are. According to the LA Times, the Chargers and the Rams will be featured on HBO's Hard Knocks this summer. It'll be the first time in the show's 15 seasons that not 1, but 2 NFL teams are followed throughout training camp. Of course, training camp has to actually happen in the first place. That's very much up in the air, but some players might rather have it canceled than be a part of the show. Jared Goff was a rookie when the Rams were the Hard Knocks team in 2016, and he said there's nothing enjoyable about the experience. Some other teams might agree. A team hasn't made the playoffs after being on Hard Knocks since the 2015 Texans. The Chargers and the Rams could have actually opted out of being on the show since they've been to the playoffs in the past 2 years, but they chose to go ahead and do it. We'll find out if that was a good decision soon enough. Both teams are going to look a lot different in 2020. They're sharing a brand new stadium in Inglewood. The Rams have a new logo, and the Chargers will be without Phillip Rivers for the first time since 2004. So should make for some interesting TV. We've got plenty more interesting TV ahead on Annenberg TV News.
I'm Tony Ravelis reporting from Pico Rivera, California. For many high school seniors, this is supposed to be the most exciting time of their lives. Instead, many can't visit the colleges they were accepted to. But 2 USC students created a website to help students pick the best fit for them.
And it really kind of hit home when JP's little sister is actually a high school senior. And so we're like, shoot, we really got to fix this issue. So we kind of then started to figure out what's the best way to go about doing that. And that's when we kind of landed on personal connection with high school students. And
College Connect is a new website dedicated to helping high school seniors get more information about the colleges where they were admitted. Both high school and college students fill out a questionnaire asking where they live and what their major is. The website then pairs them by college and major.
We're doing it manually, and we're basically doing it as a factor of what school the student wants to go to. So, for example, if someone in high school wants to go to USC, they could get matched up with a USC student to chat.
So far, the website has college students from over 60 schools, including UC Davis and UCLA. The creators of College Connect are hoping this new way of connecting students will last beyond this pandemic. For Annenberg Media, I'm Tony Ravelis.
Well, Nathan, it's really nice to see that even during these hyper disconnected times, that other students are finding ways to give back to future students, to help them see their college through their eyes. I think it's such an important, thing. I think we all look back so fondly on those experiences. I know I do. How about you? Did you visit your college before attending?
Yeah, Genevieve. So actually, in my college process, after I got into USC, I was still deciding between some other schools. But after visiting USC's campus, I totally fell in love with it, which made me commit here. So I really think this is a good platform for high school students now who can't visit the colleges they want to. And I think it's a good thing for students to have this to get a better understanding of where they're deciding between.
For sure.
So thank you for watching ATVN. We'll continue to post newscasts here on Annenberg Media's YouTube channel. And for everyone here at Annenberg Media, I'm Nathan Hyun.
And I'm Genevieve Glass. For more continuous coverage on COVID-19, head to uscannenbergmedia.com. Good night.
Good night.